against human dignity. Secondly, this declaration has also taken note of that there are countries around the world which have laws existing within them wherein they actually perpetuate discrimination against women. So there has to be abolition of such kind of laws and policies and customs. And third of all, yes, after abolishing the laws and practices which are discriminatory, it is very vital that legal protection should be given for equal rights of men and women. So there has to be establishment of such kind of adequate legal protection. So these are the important international instruments which do emphasize upon the fact that there has to be protection of women's rights. Now, apart from this, a very important international instrument which needs attention here is basically the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, 1979. Now, if you look into the aspect here, I have highlighted only point wise. So this particular document clearly emphasizes upon certain areas here. This international instrument was taken up with the idea that there is discrimination against women, but they need to be given equal rights. This discrimination exists based on sex. And so the very idea of this particular convention is, first of all, that there has to be efforts to eliminate discrimination, and then efforts have to be taken up to achieve equality. One of the very important thing which needs to be addressed in this particular document is the Article 1. I have written three terms here, the distinction, exclusion, and restriction. So basically, what I'm trying to highlight here is this, that if Article 1 is analyzed, it clearly says that, any distinction, exclusion, or restriction which has the effect of nullifying the rights of a woman, regardless of whether she's married or not, and it hampers or impedes her enjoyment of civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights, in that case, definitely it is an evidence of the fact that there is discrimination. Now, this particular international instrument, is considered to be a bill of the International Bill of Women's Rights. Now, it has highlighted a number of rights, civil, political, economic, social, and cultural rights, which I've highlighted in the particular PPT. But one thing which it is addressing is this, that state has to take positive action in order to ensure that women become at par with men, and then only there would be elimination of discrimination. And it has addressed the fact that unfortunately discrimination exists because of some social practices, because of the gender stereotypes that exist, which believes that women are going to be relegated to this particular position, and therefore they need to do this particular, or they need to do perform a particular, they need to dress a particular way, they need to act a particular way, speak in a particular manner. So this hampers the realization of women's rights. That is one thing. So this particular document or the convention addresses a number of rights. It also takes into account the issue of trafficking, and yes, about marriage and family. And one specific provision of this particular convention is addressed regarding the fact that, about the rights of rural women, because certain needs or rights are separate for rural women, and therefore the convention is addressed about those needs or rights of women in the rural region. Now, these nature of obligations which are specified here are given in Article 2. Now, the Article 2 of the CEDAW Convention, that is Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women, have highlighted these state obligations, which I've highlighted in red color. Now, first of all, they are specifying that, the laws in the countries need to incorporate principle of equality. They need to adopt legislations which are going to prohibit discrimination, and after that give sanctions if there is violation of those provisions. Secondly, they have to establish legal protection, and if there is violation, the competent court should decide and provide the redress or relief. The state itself should not engage in any kind of acts which are discriminatory in nature. And it is not only against a particular, the state which will take an action, but persons, organizations. So even if I am discriminating against someone, action needs to be taken against me. All should be brought within the ambit of law when they are practicing discrimination against women. And any kind of laws which are actually perpetuating discrimination, those laws needs to be repealed. So these are the certain things which are being clearly demarcated under Article 2 of the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination against Women. Now, having said this, so the first part what I'm trying to highlight is that the theoretical framework of the international human rights do emphasize about women rights, and it clearly states that women are entitled to human rights. Most importantly, in terms of the fact that when we say there's discrimination, the act of discrimination itself is a violence. Now, having said this, I would request all to kindly pay attention to this particular slide, which is very fundamental in understanding are women rights as human rights reality or not. These facts and figures are of 24th November 2024, and I have highlighted the specific website where from I have got this particular latest facts and figures. Now in this, if you look into it, these are alarming and these are a matter of concern for all. First of all, what they are saying is this, that 1 in 3 women are subjected to sexual or intimate partner violence. Within the age of 15 years, 640 million women, yes, they are subject to intimate partner violence, which in India we would call as live-in relationship also. In 2023, they have found that 51,000 females were killed by the intimate partners only. And among adolescents also, 1 in 4 adolescents, uh, by the age, adolescents till the age of 15 or 16, they were already in relationship and they have been physically, sexually, psychologically abused. Now, another thing which this particular facts and figures have highlighted is that women with disabilities uh, are more prone to violence as compared to women without disabilities. So the higher rate of violence is there more. Another thing is this, that 6% of women are being subject to violence from persons who are not with whom they are not intimate, and you know uh, the issue of forced sex have also been highlighted with regard to adolescents. Now, another very important thing is this, that every 10 minutes, for every 10 victims of trafficking, if you look into the statistics, there are 4 adult women and 2 girls. That is the statistics, 2020. 91% of trafficking victims sexually exploited are females. And if you look into it, here is this, that the female genital mutilation, FGM, 230 million girls and women have been subjected to this. Now, again, another thing is this that violence is across uh, all sectors, all stratas of societies, irrespective of whether a woman is educated or not. And the facts and figures clearly specify that about 82% of women parliamentarians who was actually advocated for laws against, for protection of women, have themselves suffered from psychological violence. and like they have received images, gestures of sexual violence also. And in this, I would highlight also another very important thing is that so far as domestic violence is concerned, uh, home is considered to be a safe haven. But unfortunately, when we look into the protection of women's rights at home, or a very safe space which is believed to be, these numbers clearly bring about a matter of concern, because in 2022, yes, only 14% of the population of the whole world, women and girls, were living in countries which had certain legislations on domestic violence. And it has been highlighted that wherever the countries have domestic violence legislations, therein the number of violence, percentage of violence, let's just say, is less as compared to countries which do not have laws on domestic violence. Of course, this does not negate the fact that violence itself cannot be justified, irrespective of whether there are laws or not. But yes, the impact of domestic violence law is that if you have a legislation, you can protect women from being discriminated. Because if you look into the emphasis of the Declaration on Elimination of Violence Against Women and the Convention Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination, they are basically projecting that discrimination itself is a violence, and not having laws to protect women itself is creating an environment of discrimination, again which is again going to create violation of human rights. So this is something which has been projected from the international scenario. There are in this particular the website, countries wise facts and figures also. But yes, I've highlighted the general scheme or general facts and figures which would highlight a scenario about the violation of human rights of women. Now, since I am working in the field, I'm still learning also. So I have taken up for today's discourse with the time limit, that. What about the human rights in India then? Because India also is a party which have ratified the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. It signed the agreement in 1980, but it ratified it in 1993. And there are three phases of it. There is the disclosure, which basically shows a commitment of the country that it is going to not do anything which is in violation of an international law. Secondly, ratification, which shows clearly that the country is going to be legally bound by those international instruments. And the third is accession, that means they become a part of the international instrument and agree to be legally bound by it. And India definitely has ratified the international instruments which I have discussed today: ICCPR, ICSCR, Convention on the Rights of Child, Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. Based on the Convention on Rights of Persons with Disabilities, India has brought about the law, the Persons with Disability Act 2016 also, wherein they have again specified about protection of women with disabilities, clearly, specifically. Now, so coming back to the discourse, when we look into it, there is no universal definition of human rights. I'm again emphasizing. But in the Indian context, when we look into the Protection of Human Rights Act 1983, it clearly has a definition on human rights. So, and it clearly states that the rights which are related